sorry about this intro. This was a clusterfuck. I'm very prepared. Hello and welcome to the penultimate round of season 11 for the 2S ACC League. We are here at Zolder in the middle of qualifying, where my standings are deciding not to work. I am your commentator for today, Gareth Higgins, and first off, I will apologise for the atrocity this stream is going to be. This is my first ever time commentating ACC. So I'm going to try my best. I don't know why my standings aren't working, but we can take a look at... No, my game's not tabbed in. We can take a look at the times here. Ben Luce currently top in qualifying with 27.5, only half a temp behind is Dom Eligna. Tommy Adlin, current championship leader, sits in P3. We want him to improve on that. Jack Colley in P4. Current fastest silver is Tomlin, who I believe is new. I don't remember seeing that name before, and he is sat in P8 overall, which is very good for a silver. 5 minutes left of qualifying. I use the times. I'm sorry that the timing screen is a bit messed up, but what can you do? It was very rushed. But what I will do is go on board. That was a slide. Go on board with Tommy Aslan and take you through a lap of Zolder here. He is on his mount map. See the car of 34. Van Geffen gets out of the way as he navigates this last chicane here. Comes across the start finish line. It's a very difficult track to get right on. A lot of goes down to second, but in long left hand in turn 1. It's a great back up to 4th gear. Goes into this right hand of 2, this double right hand right here. You go straight for a tiny bit, you don't even move the wheels around, so you go flat out through this next section. You just like dab the brakes into this right hand. Back on power early, down. Was one of the most, it's not really an overtake. Going into this first chicane, you need full commitment here and send them fully over the curb, as Tommy has shown. The car goes flying. There's another small stroke, wasn't clicking to the left. To go through the next chicane. Braking up down to the first gear, using all of the curb. The game lets you use all of it manually. And now through this awkward slow section. As pretty sure that was maybe it's not, as we've gone up to the head, we break up the 100 meters and down the first gear again. Early on the power, so right up power, the final chicane on the track. It's a very difficult circuit to overtake. It's very much you need to force your opponents into your moves. So it takes slash chicane. Second gear onto the power for the exit. All this time will be an improvement on his position at least. He stays P3 for now. That was 200 slower than his previous best. So not an improvement there. As we switch to Tomlin here, current provisional pole sitter in silver class as he comes from turn 3. Nico Veldman, I think, has just beaten his time, or someone's beaten his time from the pro class though. He comes from turn 4. Let's see how he takes the first chicane. Oh, it was Rosu. Rosu's gone up to P3. A lot of commitment, sends the Audi flying. As I believe I've forgotten to install the paint pack for a few drivers. Maybe one of them. So that's an issue. Now there's some cars with paints on. That's good as we switch to wheels there, hopefully. Most of the cars, the majority of them have their paints on. So I don't really look at the carbon fibre the whole time. It's Tomlin, Joe Tomlin comes up to the hairpin now. Approaching the last chicane, he has got a clean track ahead of him, which is nice. As he comes up to this final chicane now, braking hard down to, sounds like first gear. Onto the power early. Let's see if this is an improvement on his time. He stays P9, that's a 10th slower than his personal best, as car number 77 off there. 27 7 maybe? I'm not sure. Unfortunately I couldn't see that as we will switch to Shibna. I'm sorry, I've butchered that name. He finished P2 on what I believe was his debut last time out in Laguna Seca. In the Nissan GTR, it's a very uncommon car to be used because I don't think it's updated to the current BOP, so no one really uses it. But he has made it work in Laguna Seca. He's not got a good qualifying time here so far, down in 10th. He'll want to improve on that. As it is important to note in the championships, Tommy Adelin is currently leading Pro Class by 15 points over Dominic Illinger. Due to a fantastic strategical win last time out for Tommy, he decided not to pit when the rain came down, whereas Dominic opted to. From P2, he was leading for a while, but Tommy pulled a brilliant move on him before Dominic pitted. And he ended up finishing in P4. Tommy had a very nice swing of points his way as he looks to win the championship for the first time. Let me check. Dom did win last season out in season 10, so he's looking to make it back-to-back championships now. So it's either going to be a second championship for Illinger or a first for Tommy Aslin. As we look to the Silver Class Championship, sorry, I wouldn't be looking at qualifying times. This is, we get a 27.2 for Illinger, a 10th clear of loose Sam Chomundley in P3. Very, very tight between him and Rosu and Aslin in P5, and Jack Colley in P6. But it's Kruger who is unfortunately missed today versus Aidan Bailey, who has a qualifying ban today in the Silver Championship. However, all Aidan Bailey needs to do is score 11 points and he'll become a Silver Class champion. Such is the gap he currently has in the championship. As we come to the end of qualifying here, all the drivers just setting their last times. Unfortunately, okay, Shibna comes into the pits. It's Rosu coming up to the line. Can he improve on his P4 position? He can't. He's just shy of a tenth slower than his PB. Unfortunately, I don't have like an instant switch to whatever driver set up, as we see Newton go to P17. As car 43 has come to the line now, that's Tommy Aslin. Can he improve on P5? He cannot. That'll be the end of qualifying for him. So next is Nico Veldman coming through the last chicane. It's currently set at 28.0. Can he improve on that? And improve on his 8th position grid slot? He comes to the line, takes the shortest route possible. Very briefly improves on his time, but it's not enough to gain him a position. So there is the final rundown of qualifying. Illinger takes pole as he looks to reclaim the championship lead from Tommy Aslin. Then Luce in P2, Sean Mundley in P3. As I'm going to do the typical grid walk to the best of my ability. We have just over 2.5 minutes until the formation lap kicks off. All the drivers making last minute setup changes maybe, and seeing what they can do in race trim. As we come to the front of the grid here, the #1 car of defending champion Dominic Illinger is P1. I'm sure this isn't his livery. I know it's not his livery. I'm sorry for not having the pack installed again. It was an oversight in my rush to get streaming. But anyway, he has sat on pole position for this race. Ben Luce in P2. A very good qualifying for him. He has scored his maiden win this season back in Hungary in a brilliant dry to wet race. Great performance by him. Sam Chomundley in P3 in this Audi. I think words are better left unsaid about it, but it's a good qualifying performance for him in P3. George Rosu came into the season quite late, is sat in P4. He's had a couple of really good results to his name, but has been a little bit inconsistent. He'll be wanting to finish the race strongly today. Current championship leader Tommy Aslin is in P5. He'll need to improve on this if he wants to keep the championship lead. P5 will put Illinger ahead back on. If it finishes like this, Dominic will still be ahead on countback. They'll be on equal points heading into the last round, which is a very exciting prospect. Jack Colley in P6, just ahead of Diakoski in P7, Nico Veldman in P8, and the silver class pole sitter, Joe Tomlin in P9. Again, I think he's new, I'm not entirely sure, I'm sorry if you're not. P2 finisher last time out, Schiefner in P10 in the Nissan GTR, ahead of Jorge Prieto in P11, Mills in P12. Pretty solid performance from him, P2 in class. Let's hope he doesn't have one of his typical moments in the race. Van Geffen, P3 in the championship, P3 on the grid in silver class. A nice show of consistency there as we see, his name is him in P14, fewer hurt. Revelation in P15 and another Audi ahead of Ranoa in P16. Jack Newton in P17 in the Porsche. He hasn't been feeling confident going into this race. Said he spins a lot. Let's see if he can keep it on the track today. Bordetto in P18. The only Ferrari on the grid. I remember when they used to be a lot more common than that. Andrew Moulton P19 ahead of Marvin Betch in P20. And the Silver Class Championship leader who had a qualifying plan for this round, Aidan Bailey, is in P21, rounding out the back of the field as the formation lap is about to get underway, where the drivers will prep their tyres in order for the race start. We're looking at the only drivers coming from the line so far. It is worth to note the pit stop rules as well. There is a mandatory pit stop with a mandatory stop time of 25 seconds. Obviously, drivers can choose to take tyres, but it's not mandatory to take tyres. It takes 5 seconds extra than the minimum stop time if you want to take tyres, so it adds an interesting element of strategical importance to the race. We've seen races won and lost before due to this change of tyres. And I believe it's maybe track dependent whether it's better to take tyres or not. Obviously you do give up the track position, but if you have such fresh rubber, you can try and take advantage of the fact to overtake your opposition. But he's trying to go side by side with it, looking at him. Maybe he's trying to get into his head for the race start. I know he is very good mates with Tommy, and he will be wanting to help Tommy in the championship, also help himself. You know, he's missed around, but he's still potentially got an outside chance of P3 in this championship. Position which Jack Colley currently has, but P6 is not a great position for him. Aidan will be wanting to make his way back through the field quite. I mean, he is a silver class leader, but his rival isn't here today, so it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, Kruger, I've heard, is now with fever, so I hope he gets better soon and is back racing potentially next week. It's unfortunate that this has been such an impact in the championship battle, but sometimes life takes over. As we are heading into the final sector of the formation now. Again, apologies if this stream will be a bit below standards. Yeah, I had a lot of time to set it up, but we are about to go racing the drivers, now being instructed to go side by side as they will make their way through the Nash chicane very shortly as they are warming their brakes and warming their tyres. Try and get the best race start here. I remember back in the Porsche Cup Series, maybe a year or so ago at Zolder, there was a big pile-up at turn 1, caused by none other than yours truly. Let's hope we don't see that again today. Let's hope for a clean lap one, a clean race for everyone involved. It is almost time to go racing here in Zolder. Ilkner on pole. Oh, sorry. Who's beside him? It is green. Then Lucy's got off to a poor start. Ilkner in P1 goes over to the racing line. John Monday going up to P2 on the inside. It's side by side there for P2 here. Ben on the curb. And it looks like he's lost out, but he's now got the inside line for turn 2 as they go side by side through the corner. The rest of the field, other than Van Geffen, has made it through cleanly. It's still side by side between these two drivers for P2 as we come up to turn 4 now. Ben Luce on the inside claims that position. As Joel Munderley trying to look to the outside. I'm not sure if there's anything doing there. Aslin trying to look to the outside of Rossi, now to the inside, but isn't going for a move. It's fairly single file through the chicane as we see lots of commitment. Maybe a driver, Prieto and Feuerhead going side by side here as we come into the second chicane. It's door to door, there's a tiny bit of contact coming into the corner, but the McLaren driver makes the position as we see in the background. Newton make a move, Prieto is off the track. May have got a little push there as he showed a little flash of unappreciation. Jack Newton trying to go alongside and potentially ahead of the BMW driver as he eyes up a move from the inside for the hairpin. Isn't able to make a sick revelation with a send on Mills though. Pushes Mills onto the curb, but that here looked like a pretty clean move and a good move from the Audi driver. Not sure if I've seen him around before either. He might be another new addition to this series. Let's take a look back up at the race lead. Unfortunately, I don't have the time at all. For some reason, Looking has got a nice gap to Ben Luce in P2. John Manley P3, Rosu P4, Aslin P5, and Collie P6, all as they were. But Nico Veldman has made a position on Alex Diakowski and goes up to P7. In the race, Diakowski down to P8 as we see a big gap forming at the front. As Rosu goes very off the track, Tommy Aslin will want to take advantage of this. Can he find his way back up into fourth? It looks like he can. It might be Jack Colley and Rosu going side by side. Colley's made the position as well, so Rosu loses out 2 positions due to that mistake. It's a really bad mistake to make early on. But it seems as both Aslin and Colley had really bad mistakes through the chicane there. Aslin and Colley now side by side. Jack Colley seems to be going up to P4 here. As there's contact, Colley is spun round. It was only a half spin and he recovers it nicely, but contact between Aslin and Colley there, which promotes Nico into P5 now, Rosu into P4. As that is not good for Aslin as the championship leader. Colley now going defensive as Diakowski, Tommy Aslin's teammate, as you can see by the carbon fibre, was eyeing up a move into the hairpin, wasn't able to make it off of it. It's a shame for those 2 drivers. It was very close heading into the chicane. Both of them had compromised runs through the first chicane, which led to that. You can see the damage on Jack Colley's car. I'm sure there was some on Tommy's as well. That will not be nice for them for the rest of the race. Car 921 is off at the hairpin. Borzetto, unfortunately I don't have replays set up, but he must have been involved in a spin or something. Aidan Bailey up to P14, already P3 in class. He's had an amazing opening first couple of laps. But let's take a look back to the lead. Am I seeing Ben Luce in P1? How has this happened? Dominic Illigler has allowed the lead to slip from him. Am I seeing damage on that car, or is this just maybe a graphical bug? I do not know how that's happened, and I'm sorry for missing it. I'm sorry for not having a replay. As Illigler is now off at the first chicane. This will allow Sam was too far back to take advantage of that. Unless he can shape for a move going into the second chicane. He doesn't. But Dominic not having a nice time of it now. Ben Luce is out in P1. And he's got a very nice gap here. So let's go back through the order. See if there's any moves that I'm missing. Doesn't seem like there's much going on at the moment. As we come onto the head, but Diakowski doing a little bit defensive on top of them. Doesn't go for anything. Prieto and Feuerhead still next to each other. Jack Newton a little bit slightly out of the hairpin there. Not ideal for the Porsche driver. Porsche with a very big tendency to be a spinner. Let's take a look at the gap. Ben Luce with a 1.5 or 1.4 second gap now. Diakowski and Tomlin are going side by side. As we enter turn 1, Shiba hits Tomlin. Tomlin keeps the car under control. Luckily for him. That wasn't the most ideal of situations for the silver class race leader. But he does, maybe with a little bit of damage, but he does keep the lead now. As the BMW of Prieto is trying to have a look at the chicane, it's not, as I've said, it's not really an overtake. It's really hard to overtake in this track in general. Unless someone makes a mistake like that, chicane Chiba did not have a good exit. Prieto will be looking to pounce. I don't think he can't get alongside unless he's late from the brakes. He's not. I think it's better off if it stays in P11 for now. front of the field. Aslin going to the outside of Jack Colley here for P6. These two involved in a little bit of an incident earlier on. Colley defensive position well, coming off from a hairpin. Aslin unable to make the move up to P6 for now. His race will be made a little better by the fact that Illiger is not leading, so he loses 6 points for coming to P2 rather than P1 is 39 instead of 45. So we see the first car into the pit lane. There's Tomlin already going into the pits as the silver class race leader, so either he's repairing his car, which I doubt, or he's just going for a clean track. Maybe he feels like he was being held up and it's better for him to have a clear track at this stage. Let's go back to this battle for P9. Not really battle, the cars are following each other nicely. Borzetto has spun again, there is yellows there as he's in the gravel and he's disconnected in the race. An unfortunate race there for the Ferrari driver. No more Ferraris left in the field, unfortunately. But this has created, with Tomlin pitted, a very nice 50-50 balance between the pros and the silvers. As you can see, the top 11 cars are all pro, the bottom 11 cars are all silver. Aidan Bailey is now leading the silver class due to Tomlin's pit stop. It would be nice for him if he could wrap the championship up with a win, but Tomlin did have a very nice gap at the front of the field. Aslin is still close to Jack Colley. Went for me for the hairpin, which didn't stick last time. I'm going to go for something else here. Does he feel like he has more pace? No, not this time around. It stays as they were. You can see very single file at the front. No one's really going for moves at the moment. There's a little bit of side-by-side action here between Newton and Bailey. Bailey going for the inside. Jack Newton got the position somewhere, because I didn't recall Aidan Bailey in the lead, but Newton has been able to go through, but that's a very slidey exit off of the chicane for the Porsche. Will Aidan, he's going for the outside for turn 1, which is very difficult overtake to make stick, as he doesn't go for it. Newton takes the race behind. Mills now looking for it on Aidan Bailey to the outside. A very nice battle for what's a provisional P2 in silver class. I would imagine with Tomlin having already pitted, but he's very far back. I don't know the pit stop time in this race, so I can't tell you if that's a normal gap to have, but it does look abnormally big to me. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see when the other cars come in to see if it's a normal gap. Newton scared of the chicane, but it's understandable in the Porsche. Aidan Bailey is in the slipstream. He's going to the outside for the second chicane. He's later on the brakes. Can he make the move stick? He is pretty deep. Newton keeps a hold of that position. Mills now looking up the inside. Aidan leaves him the space. There is no overtaking to be had. Aidan has lost a tiny bit of track position, but he's kept P12 ahead of Jack Mills for now. As Mills has gone straight into the back of Aidan Bailey and spun him round. A very unfortunate, just too late on the brakes there from the McLaren driver. And contact that will most certainly be looked at the stewards, by the stewards post-race. As now Marvin Bedge gets from Aidan Bailey and Geffen. Doesn't look to make the move, but that's very unfortunate for Aidan Bailey, who now comes into the pit lane, maybe to repair the damage or maybe just to get a clear track. It would have been interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Tomlin. It still will be, but obviously the damage has compromised him quite a bit. I am seeing a close battle for the lead. It looks like it has caught back up to Ben Luce now. Ben, not so experienced leading the race. I mean, obviously he's won Hungary, but it's his only win, whereas it is a veteran of the league. He's won many races through the years, and is provisionally, if the results stay like this, he will reclaim the championship lead as he looks to win his second championship in a row here in the 2S, season 10 and season 11. But there's nothing going now. I think it's better to be patient. Very hard to make a move, so he's got to try and force a mistake out of the BMW driver. So we see current championship leader Tommy Aslin still needs to make moves. I think he knows he needs to make some moves, but he's dropped off the back of Jack Colley, who goes for a massive slide there from Ashikane. Again, patience is the name of the game here, as we see from quick look at the gaps. Only 1.5 tenths across the line. The top 8 is still currently split by only 10 seconds. As Tomlin is quite clear ahead of Aidan Bailey. Where is Aidan Bailey? Is he lapped? Cannot see him on the track map. He is lapped by a lot, well, not a lot, only the top 3 for now, but that's a very unfortunate position. As a Silver driver, you'd expect that he wouldn't have the pace to keep up the roads. Still have to sit on the back. That's compromised his race heavily. He'll need to wait until this leading group of cars all make their pit stops. As we see Van Geffen into the pits, and even pits already, or is he going to his? I know he's right at the end of the ending. Hopefully he's going to have a massive jump on the rest of Silver there, but he does not. Eligner, on Ben's pace, seems to be allowing Chalmundley to close back up to P1. Ben with a 28.1 last time round, Eligner with a 27.9. Same as Chalmundley, they pretty much set identical lap times too. Only split by 3 thousandths in a second. Eligner very close to the back of Ben Luce. Will we see an overtake for the lead here in the race? Luce, will he go defensive? He's not really going that defensive. Eligner has a free gap to the inside as Luce takes the outside line. Eligner to the inside here. But Luce, with the outside line, keeps a hold of the position. But now, Eligner still got a nose on the outside, so Luce can't use a whole track. Keeps a hold of the P1 for now. Eligner trying a little switch back, but he can't get alongside for it to happen. This is a very informing battle for first place currently. It is bringing John Mundley into this. A tiny bit of a gap back to Rosu. He can catch up as well if these guys start fighting hard. Let's take a look at the chicane here. Eligner, very, very committed, as you'd expect from the championship contender. He can't get close enough to make a move into this chicane. As we see the gaps opened up quite a lot to Rosu behind, I think. Unless that's just the track not being open. I think it's just the track being open. We cut through to the head, but now still nothing doing. And keeping hold of P1, but he hasn't hit the apex, so that's a very bad, well, very poor corner. Eligner right on his tail. Is he going to try and move into the last chicane? It's not a conventional overtaking spot, so he stays behind and waits until the start-finish straight to try and make a move. It's all about the exits. Luce seems to have got a pretty good exit this time. Eligner takes the outside line early. Maybe he prefers defending on the outside compared to the inside. Keeps a hold of the P1 as we see Nico Veldman into the pits. Very interesting from this lead group of cars. As Tommy Hansen and Jack and Rosu now make their way past Aidan Bailey, who is ahead of Van Geffen, so I can't remember if he was involved in any incidents. But it does seem like a very long pit lane here. Even the top to mid pack of Silver can come behind the pros if they're a bit early. We see a very big angle of cars now for a provisional Silver P3. It's Vetch's Revelation, is Jack Mills, and just behind is also Andrew Moulton. In this freeway fight for P3, obviously Mills with probably a bit of front end damage due to the collision with Aidan Bailey. Looks for the outside on Revelation. But there's nothing doing there. Revelation may be looking to make a move on Mark Vetch. As Revelation is heading to the outside for turn 3. Is he going to try and hold it around the outside? He's going to try, but he's not going to succeed. Vetch keeps a hold of the position. Jack Mills now looking to the inside for the chicane. Are they going to go side by side into the chicane here? Was there contact there between Revelation and Vetch? Revelation, Mills might be going for a double move here. Gets forced off the track by Vetch though. I mean, wasn't really forced enough. Revelation's got 2 wheels on the grass. This is crazy battling in Silver class. All the drivers still on the track. Revelation breaks deep and it breaks onto the gravel, but it still keeps a hold of the position. That was an overtake off the track. I'm not sure if the stewards were like that, but he moves into a current P3 class, but obviously that was affected by the pit stops. Also, due to the timing screens being wrong on my Marvin Vetch is very deep ahead. I can't see who's taking the mandatory stop and who hasn't, so I can't tell you. Jack Newton is in the pits to take his mandatory stop. Andrew Moulton's looking to the inside of Jack Mills here. He looks to have the move set. There's more contact than both cars. Both cars have been involved in the water, as you can see. There's more contact going into the chicane. So now side by side down the start finish straight. Mills on the outside, Moulton on the inside. As they head to turn 1. Moulton seems to have a little bit of a gap ahead. Mills holds it around the outside. The outside preferred line for battling here, it does seem. I was saying, sorry, Nico Feldman and below have all taken their mandatory pit stops. Jack Newton now in the pits. As we go back to the race lead momentarily. As John Monthly has now got up very close to the back of these two. Lou's still holding P1 for now. But he is under immense pressure from the current runner-up in the championship standings, who is maybe looking at move to the inside, but thinks better of it. Jack Newton gets a 30-second stop go penalty. That must be for speeding in the pit lane. Very unfortunate for the Porsche driver. That is not what you want to see. Not at all. Does seem like as well this is a very long pit lane, so that's got even more of an effect. Possibly 45 to 50 seconds lost of race time, which is not ideal in the slightest. You see the top three here moving their way onto the bridge as they approach the second chicane. There won't be any moves, so Ben's got a little gap now, more than he's had previously in this race. You can see how much the cars are using. As long as you have two wheels touching the red and white curb, that is fine running track limits. But the driver's pushing that to the extremes. Jack Mills now in pits after speed a crazy 18 minutes lots of contact on this tight technical track. So we see Collie and Diakos. Nope. Aiden Bailey is now holding up. Diakowski is. Oh my god, Jack Newton has just. Wow. I think he had got a wheel onto the grass and lost the car under braking because of that wheel taking out Aiden Bailey, who's already been in the walls. That does open the track up for Diakowski, but that's not what we want to see. Jack Colley into the pits as well. Now. Wow, that was. I mean, obviously it was unintentional, but that was very unfortunate there, both for Aiden Bailey and Newton. Let's turn our attentions back to the race lead, where Ben Luce looks like he's opening up more of a gap now, as he was a 10th and a half quicker than Hidden on the last lap. As the Audi driver, Sam Chalmundley, is now putting Hidden under pressure for P2. These leading trio of cars have now got a big gap to the cars behind, with George Rose and Tommy Aslin, who I imagine now has a free track due to Jack Colley pitting. It's interesting to note Colley coming out of the pit lane behind Nico Veldman now, so I believe, yeah, Nico Veldman has undercutted Jack Colley, which gives him gives him a good advantage in the race, and it's a big gap as well. A few seconds worth for Nico, who was behind, I believe, Diakowski, Aslin, and Colley. But maybe he's made in 3 positions due to this undercut. A very good strategic decision for Nico Veldman, although he may suffer with slightly more one tyres than the rest. Aiden Bailey is back into the pit lane. Maybe that car's damage is too much for him. A big shame. But with crew we're not racing. All he needs to do is score 11 points, and I will need to take a look at the scoring system. But I believe if he simply finishes this race, it will be enough. However, I will need to make sure that what I've just said is correct. It might not be. Oh my god. Alright, let's go back to the race lead. Ben Luce, Dominic Illiner. Again, it's nose to tail here. Just Sam has dropped off a little bit. Dominic clearly turning the pace back on. Maybe he made a mistake we didn't see, but he's got right back up to Ben. Clearly, he's got more pace at this stage as Sam goes flying into the pit lane. Obviously you can do that if you have a clear track ahead of you. As Dom will be looking to the inside yet again on Ben, but Ben keeps it steady in P1. Very good driving to keep the Audi driver behind in this race. It'll be interesting to see where Sam comes out in relation to Nico Veldman and Jack Holly. It could have very big implications on the race. We could see reactions from the top two cars here if Sam comes out potentially behind or close to Nico, who is currently going through the second chicane as we see Jack Newton get out of the way of a couple of the front runners. Just trying to see what's going on here. There is a battle for P11 as Moulton has overtaken Betch somewhere. I believe Moulton's part of DRS. The two DRS cars swapping positions, potentially. As we see Sam Cholmondeley is exiting the pits now. This is side by side for the race lead. I don't know how I've missed that looking at the track map, but Dominic Iligner has taken back P1. Benelux trying to keep it on the inside, gets a nose there, but isn't able to make anything stick, but should get a much better exit. It won't be enough. Iligner made up too much ground through the chicane. As Benelux has lost the race lead now, Iligner gains it back. But as I was saying, Sam Cholmondeley has got a huge gap on Nico Veldman. But as you can see, he's only just gone through the first chicane, so it's a very long time we spent in the pits. I'm hearing a rev bump there. Back to the full games. Sorry. Right, sounds wrong, so I'm not going to watch it. As Rosu in P3, Aslan has caught up to the back of him considerably. But again, it's very hard to make a move here. So Aslan will be trying to force George into a mistake here. Kyoto is in the pits as well in Pro Class. He wants towards the bottom of the row, if I remember correctly. Again, it'll be good to know where he does come over the track, as I really wish I had time, but unfortunately I don't, so that is a shame. As we go to this battle for P10, Moulton and Betch. Well, Betch has actually dropped off quite a little bit, and Mills lapped behind them, being involved in a couple of incidents thus far. Not been an ideal race for a lot of drivers, as we see Aslan very close to the back of George Rosu. Unable to make a move in this top one, is just sticking behind the BMW driver. Let's take a look at the lap time Iligner is now doing. He's set at 28.1, half a second clear of Lewis, half a second clear of Rosu, half a second clear of Aslan, so he has got the race lead and he is not looking back. He's looking to extend this gap as much as he can. Hopefully not making the same mistakes and sort of give up the race lead early on in the race, but instead have a drive for P1 that will see him in a favourable position heading into the finale next weekend. Pro Class. Pro Class will be the only championship battle on display there, I believe. If Aidan Bailey finishes P8 in class, even P8 will be enough to see him secure the silver championship, as Jack Newton is off the track. I will try and switch to him, but there we go. Off the track in the awkward slow speed section. Unable to see what happened to him because of the setup, unfortunately, but it's not been an ideal race at all for the Porsche driver. Benelux now into the pits, as is Tommy Aslan. Two big pit stops in this race that can have a dramatic effect both on the racing and the championship. Collie is currently in P3 as well, it's important to note. However, a position behind Cholmondeley and Nico will see them catch up as we see Newton take an interesting line from this chicane. car 77 Revelation is off in this low speed section. Very, very close there to rejoining and taking out the number 47 of Marvin Betch, but luckily there was no contact. He is keeping it as safe as he can. He's able to keep the car out of the wall. But he drops a number of positions, possibly a self spin. Unfortunately, I'm unable to check. So we will be unaware of what happened as Ben Luce and Tommy Aslin now both leave the pits. Tommy has gained huge amounts. He has not taken tyres, whereas Ben has. I'm pretty sure of that. There wouldn't be this close gap in the pit lane otherwise. Tommy with a drift out of the pit lane. Don't know if that's to get heat into the tyres or if it's just unintentional. So you see Mills go up the inside of Moulton here into turn 2. Both of these drivers come out ahead of Chum Wonderly just. So I believe, no, Chum Wonderly was P3, so that's now P3 for Tommy Aslin provisionally. Ben Luce P2 as he looks to get past the blue flag Moulton. Doesn't seem to be letting him go. There may have been contact between the two drivers there. Ben desperate to get past the Audi driver here, but despite the blue flags, I can't remember if the... Okay, Moulton's off and lets this trio through. I can't remember if it was F1 blue flag rules or other blue flag rules, so I can't remember if that's a bad offence or not, so I won't make any further comments on it. Benjamin, I forgot to load the paint pack, so that's why we're seeing a lot of carbon fibre cars, so that's my mistake. That is in a rush to get the stream sorted. It was an oversight on my behalf. There's Ben. Jack Mills is now the car ahead for this trio of cars to lap. We'll see Aslin and Chum Wonderly are very close now. Luce has got a little bit of a gap. Possibly the fresh tyres helping him. I can't tell if Chum Wonderly wants to take the tyres or not. I don't have anything to help me with that. As Jack Mills gets out of the way of Ben Luce, presumably Aslin and Chum Wonderly as well. Will Moulton try and take advantage of this? Oh wait, no, Moulton needs to lap him as well. That's on my behalf. But Feldman and Collie are very close here coming into the first chicane. Collie unable to make a move. He'll be frustrating him behind Nico after out-qualifying him and being ahead going into the pits on phase. I don't know how the two drivers switch around, but they did. Oh wait, Collie got half one. Might have lost a lot of time. Can't remember the context of that spin, but as we see, P4 car of Feuerherd is into the pits. As Revelation now gets a drive through, that will be for track limits, looking at where he is on the track. He must have just taken too much out of that first chicane. And that's very unfortunate for the Audi driver. He was having a decent race but did get spun around earlier on. As we also see Regginoa into the pits from the silver class lead, and the car number 86 Andrew Moulton into the pit lane. Ben's last lap was on 28.2. Let's see what Illinois is doing. Out in P1 is that's Tommy. I may have gone the wrong way. I may have missed him. I apologise for this. Illinois has set in 29.4, so he must have been caught up in traffic like that. It's not ideal. A couple more laps like that, and maybe the trio of Luce, Aslin and Chum Wonderly could have a potential look at a race win still. There's car number 14, Feuerherd, is coming out of the pits. Unfortunately,
we are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
Thank you. He is down to P11 now. As we keep an eye here on Illinois, as it looks like Aslin is dropping back off the back of Ben Luce, maybe taking tyres a huge... he got the track position, but he is not being able to do anything with it. Ben Luce is pulling away. Chum Wonderly now putting Aslin under pressure. Aslin needs as much points as possible if he wants to win this championship with Illinois in P1. want to lessen the gap as much as possible. The top 3 cars are yet to pit, but if Aslan was to finish P5 and Illigan P1, a reminder that these 2 drivers will be level on points heading into the season finale. Illigan ahead on countback with number of race wins, but it will set up a very, very interesting championship finale, which I believe I'm going to quickly check. Is at Paul Ricard, a very good side of GT3 racing. So make sure to tune in next week as we decide the championship. As we now see the top 3 cars all into the pits on the same lap. Illigan, Rosu, Diakowski. It'll be very important, very interesting to see the gap is to this trio of Lewis, Aslan and John Montgomery for both Illigan and Rosu. I think Rosu was in P4 before the pit stop phase. Maybe P5. Let's see all the cars stationary. Switch over to Illigan and see where he comes out. One of the cars is moving. I can only presume that's Illigan, as the game just isn't letting me switch to them. So I'm going to have to watch it on the track now, or switch to Ben, or Tommy in this case. We see Rosu coming out behind, but I think Illigan is just ahead of. Oh no, he's considering ahead of Ben Lewis as another car in the middle of those two, which will be the lapped Audi of Moulton. But Ben has gained a big chunk of time here on Dominic. But Dom does have the superior pace advantage, so more mistakes will be needed if Ben wants to take his 2nd win of the season. We see Rosu here in P5. Him and Collie were battling, but Collie, who has gotten past Nico Feldman and somehow ahead of Diakowski, has dropped off massively to Rosu. I apologise for missing the pass on Nico. And Diakowski, I believe, has just come out in lane. Splitting these 2 drivers. So he is currently provisionally is currently in P6. Tommy Aslan in P3 for the moment is very good for his, but not very good for his championship hopes. It is good for his championship hopes, as he only drops. If he was to finish in P3, he'll only drop. Well, he will drop 11 points to Illigan. So Tommy will still be 4 points clear heading into the championship finale. And I apologise for the mistake in the scoring system, but it's actually if Tommy Aslan finishes P4, he'll be level on points with Illigan, not P5, as I've previously mentioned. However, he is currently in P3, which will see him retain the championship lead into Paul Ricard. We see it's still really quite close between all the top 5 here can be seen on this short little straight between turns 4 and the turn 5 and 6 chicane. Though no driver is running away with it, although as we've seen it's very difficult to make passes and mistakes are quite right. I can also tell you in the fight for P3 in the championship, Jack Colley is currently 22 points clear in P3, with a very close Diakowski, John Montley, Belarus and Nico are all close behind. I think with this result, unfortunately I'm not very good at mental maths, but Ben will make a huge jump on Jack Colley and potentially put himself in the fight for P3 despite missing ground in the mid-season. As he was away, so he'll be wanting to do that and fight for an unlikely top 3 championship position. As we will turn our attentions to this battle between Feldman and Diakowski. It's not really a battle, they're just close on track. Feldman dropping off of Colley a lot. Feldman with a 29.6 last time by Jack Colley with a 28.4. There must have been a mistake in this somewhere. P6. He's got a long gap to P5 though. Let's take a look at it. It's so big that the game won't say. It's 5.5 seconds to George Rosu. He'll need to hope for a number of mistakes as he gets past Jack. The laps of the back. Let's go back to the race lead because it is very close. I think Ben is gaining. He's only regained a whole 100th of a second last time by, but he is completely gained on the championship leader and current race. No, sorry, championship runner-up and current race leader Dominic Illinger. Who, despite the fact he was pulling away when he was in clear air, this isn't as convincing as of a performance as I perhaps expected from him. Maybe uncomfortable with the track, because he doesn't seem, whilst he has the pace, he doesn't seem to have the consistency that Ben has. We see close behind Tommy Aslin and Sam Chalmondley are very close in this battle for the final podium position. Tommy will want to keep hold of it, but Sam, I imagine on the fresher tyres, be looking for any way through that he can find. Tommy is very good. He's got very good racecraft, however, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to keep the position. Sam also a very good driver, very experienced driver, but he knows what to do in situations like this. It'll be a very interesting fight all the way through to the end of the race. Both this fight for P3 and the fight for P1 that we see. We see Tomlin still in the provisional lead of silver class, while the bench is still yet to pit. Lead, current race lead of silver, as we see a bit of dust being kicked off either by Luce or by Illinger, and judging by the gap I would suggest it's Illinger. Car's behaviours is telling me that Illinger actually does get a better run of most corners, better traction, but maybe Ben has got better corner speed. He's able to stay very close to the car in front of him. As Rajno is close up ahead, they want to get him out of the way, as back market traffic is normally what you need in a fight for the lead like this. So we go with the championship leader quickly. Try and see if there's any more battles on the track. Looking at the track map, not seeing the timings, it doesn't seem as if there's too much going on for the moment. And let's take a look at lap times. Very similar between the top two, both 27.9s last time around. Ben with a very, very small faster time by 25 thousandths of a second. Thank you, Strix. If only I had that in qualifying. that was what I was missing this entire time. As we now have live timing for the stream, at least my experience has got 100 times better. You can clearly see how rushed this stream was. I hope it's still okay though. There's 20 minutes left of this race. Illinger only got half a second of a lead to Ben Luce behind. And now gone up by a little bit. Tommy Aslin and Sam jump on the lead, battling over P3. Very, very close between these two cars here, as it has been for a couple of laps now. Sam jump on the lead, iron to the outside line. Very, very difficult to make a move on the outside. I imagine the sound issue is due to my Streamlabs settings. So I could up my mic volume by a little bit, but I don't really want to. I'll try and change it by a little bit. But I don't want to change it too much in case of it. I don't know, doing something pretty bad. Lower game volume. That's actually a good idea. That's much better. This is quite low already. Just put it on 4. Okay. is ending. I just put it on like 60. I don't want to risk this battle too much. Sam still on the back. Let's go on board with Sam for a little bit and see if he can see what is going on in this car. See if he can make a move on Aslan here. So we come up to turn 1. He's in the slipstream, but this straight is very short. It's not enough to get alongside. Takes a wider entry into turn 1 to try and get out early, but it doesn't work on this occasion. Missing the apex there slightly. Does seem like Tommy has less confidence as he dips a wheel into the gravel there. Is Sam going to try and go to the outside here? Let's go back to the outboard shots. As they're going side by side into the chicane, but Sam knows he just can't bring it round the outside there. It's a one-line corner, and Tommy is able to keep hold of P3 for now as Rosu is being drawn into this battle by how hard these two are fighting. As we see, Elena has now got it. I think Ben might have made a small mistake on this lap, as I can see the gap on the track map has got a bit larger since the last one we looked anyway. Sam right on the bumper of Tommy Aslan. It seems like somehow he's getting closer and closer every lap. Tommy, with the worn tyres, is not having a fun time out there defending P3. Can't think about the top 2 now. I think that's a bit out of his reach as he is dropping his pace quite a lot. Rosu is smelling the shot at this last step on the podium, however. Might be a very good freeway fight until the end. As we see Prieto right on the side of Marvin Betch. Mills and Milton. No, Mills and Moulton going through turn 1 side by side. Mills getting the better of Moulton on this occasion for P15. They may be a lap down. They're still fighting hard over every position, and that is what we love to see. Drivers of all abilities able to enjoy themselves and still fight for positions here. Obviously both these drivers are very unlucky in this race so far, but still sticking on to the end, not giving up, fighting for everything they can get out of this. Reg Noah is the car ahead of them, but he is considerably ahead, 12 seconds ahead on the road. But these two are putting on a great show for P15. Mills with not a great line for the chicane. Moulton might be able to take advantage of that, but it's a very tough section of the track to take advantage of. As Mills is onto the grass a lot, able to keep the car in a straight line now that Marvin Betch is in the pit lane. So Tomlin is back into the Silver Class race lead, as he was before the pit stop phase and is now after the pit stop phase, quite considerably as well. He has put on a great display for a Silver Class driver. Not got involved in the same level of incidents the other drivers have done. As let's take a look back at P3, or the battle for P3 between Tommy Aslan and Sam Chomondoli. Again, this has been a recurrent theme through this race. Tommy defending the last step on the podium, and he's done a very good job of it so far. But can he hold on to it for another 15 minutes? With Rosu behind, he runs the risk of losing the championship lead if he finishes in P5. I think the gap is big enough back to Jack Collier behind that he won't, unless they make the second happens, drop to P6 or below. But with how bad his tyres are at the moment, who knows? If these drivers are on fresh tyres, maybe they can make a big gain in the last 15 minutes of the race. Practically pushing Aslan through the latch chicane. There was a tiny bit of a slide there. Maybe a tiny bit of frustration setting in as he's been stuck behind Aslan for so long now. It's not ideal when you're just sat behind a car and you know you've got more pace, but you just can't overtake due to the nature of the track or the really good defensive driving that we're seeing by Tommy here. But there could be frustration setting into Sam here. Maybe we'll see a desperate move. He's not the type of driver to try it though, so maybe he will just sit back in P4 and try and force Tommy into a mistake like he's been trying to for a while now. But, well, 14 minutes left of this race, and Eligna has built up another lead on Ben. And Sam has a tiny look at the inside, but thinks better of it. And is now on the grass a lot and will lose a fair amount of time. Rosu closer to Sam than Sam is to Tommy. Rosu has a cheeky look to the inside, but won't go for a dive of that nature. As Sam considerably later on the brakes than Tommy heading into the last chicane. He's trying to get back the time he lost by running off of the track. But can't put Tommy under pressure for now. Maybe the small slides he's been having in the off-track excursions he's had is maybe put a bit more life out, taken more life out of the tyres, possibly reducing the advantage he had. And Rosu being patient here at the moment in P5. Sees the podium right ahead of him, up for the taking. As I hear a driver in the gravel, that'll be Van Geffen. Unfortunately can't get a replay, so I've just, let's ignore that I tried doing that. This driver, the McLaren driver, Van Geffen, was, by the sounds of it, in the gravel off of the first chicane. A very easy mistake to make. And unfortunate, but he keeps P2 in class. It's a quite commanding P2 in class. Rajnoa is somewhere on the track. Couldn't tell you where. Apologies for that. As we see Sam still very late on the brakes there, quite close, like in this camera angle at least, hitting the back of Tommy. Luckily, no contact. That's the battle for P3 still rages on. Sam with a 28.5, Aslan with a 28.5, Rosa with a 28.8, so he's dropped back a little bit on that lap. Sam and Tommy setting equal times, and if you set equal times you can't really overtake, so Sam will want to find more pace. That's probably one of the worst things I've ever said in the commentating sense, but we move. Sam very committed through the chicane, as you have to be, as he has been in the race, to try and get back to Tommy Aslan, who's doing a great job of defending P3. You see not too much else happening on the track at the moment. All of the gaps are above a second, other than this trio of cars. Eligna out a commanding lead at the front of the field. It's over 2 seconds now to Ben Luce, who was in the lead for a fair portion of the race, but was unable to keep the pace of Dominic behind him, as Dominic is looking to gain a lot more points on Tommy Aslan, who put pressure on the championship leader. As it stands, Tommy would still be the championship leader by 4 points heading into the last round of the season. Potential, if I remember correctly, for a small penalty. I want to say was contact between Aslan and Jack Colley, which sent Colley into a half spin. The stewards will need to take a look at it. Well, Might take a look at it post-race if Jack feels it's worthy. That is very committed by Sam, and it's a big slide on the exit. He keeps the car in a straight line. But that's certainly not ideal for the Audi driver. But he is living up to the team name he has set. Maybe he set it just for this track alone. But that Audi going on a mission to see how high in the air it can get. I'm going to switch back to this battle for P14 between Mills and Betch and Moulton. Very, very close on track. As Betch must have made a mistake or something to be dropped into the clutches of these two drivers now. As Mills goes very far off the track, but keeps the car straight somehow. I don't know how that didn't end up in a spin. The TC of these cars working to perfection, really. Moulton is trying to get a nice on there, but it's very hard to get alongside. Moulton looking up the inside here into the last chicane, but isn't able to get alongside and tucks back in for the corner. Moulton now looking to the inside of Mills for turn 1. Mills leaves the door open and there's more contact in silver class. Moulton is sent into a half spin, but covers it nicely. George Rosu has got a drive through from 5th place in the battle for 3rd. It eases the pressure of Sam Cholmondeley, but that is not what you want to see. Very unfortunate. It must be track related. Very unfortunate to see. Strix, Mills has been involved in a few incidents. He did go very deep and sent Aidan Bailey spinning around at the hairpin fairly on into the race. But from what I remember, there's been no like solo mistakes or solo spins as of yet. But I definitely could have missed one. I mean, I don't know. Aidan Bailey has been, that spin that Mills sent him into wasn't even the worst of his race, as Bailey got involved in a very unfortunate incident with Jack Newton, it was in the Porsche. But he's still rolling around the track in P17, which is P7 in class. It's still enough to win him the championship this race, if my calculations are correct. With Kruger not racing. Illigna now has lost a tiny bit of time to bend loose, but it's not really enough for him to be worried. Only 6.5 minutes left in this race, and he has been not as commanding as he has been in previous races, but he has always felt like the fastest driver on the track today. And it will be yet another well-deserved win for the German driver and championship hopeful. Mills right on the back of Betch now. Someone's in there. No, he's not on the back of Betch, he's in the grass. Something has happened at the first chicane to the McLaren driver, as Aidan Bailey overtakes him. So Bailey now P6 in class, Mills down to last. That is what you call a classic Mills no moment, and I'm sorry for not having replays enabled and catching that a bit too late. As he goes off the track in the same way. Mills, no! Into the wall. Luckily we don't need a replay for that one. As he has well and truly damaged that car. You can see a lot of the scuffs on the side. Very unfortunate race, or ending to the race for McLaren driver who comes into the pits. Hopefully he'll still finish the race, but he's repairing the car at minimum. It might be the end for him, but it is not the end for the battle for P3. Tommy Aslin still defending from Cholmondeley, who has dropped off a tiny bit. The gap half second. Ben has got to 1.3 of Illigna, which is a lot closer than the gap was previously. this is a bad camera. Tommy's still holding on to P3 for now, as he has been since the pit stop phase had fully cycled out. Ben losing a couple of tenths to the race leader on that occasion. As Rosu, despite having a drive-through penalty, is still in P8, which speaks a bit of the... My English knowledge is failing me. Oh no. Oh no. What's it called? We'll get back to that. We'll continue the battle for... Well, the battle for P3 isn't really a battle at the moment. Tommy's got a little bit of a gap now. I've really made my brain fry getting the word that I want to say. Speaks for the attrition of this race. Lots of drivers making mistakes. Has allowed Rosu, with a driver penalty, to still be in 8th place. As Bailey has also made a position on Marvin Betch, so maybe those two were involved in an incident in that chicane. Bailey now P5 in class, which, with Kruger not racing, and Bailey only needing to score 11 points, will make him champion come the checkered flag. As Sam maybe missed his moment to take P3, Tommy has now got a nice gap over him. And with finishing 3rd, as it looks likely at the moment, Tommy will score Tommy will be 6 points ahead of Iligna heading into Paul Ricard, the championship finale next week. So make sure to watch that for what's bound to be a very, very exciting finale. And if my maths are absolutely correct, and P6 is the gap, no, sorry, 6 points is the gap. Tommy finishing 2nd, Dominic finishing 1st. We'll see the drivers level of points at the end of the season. Dominic will win that on countback. Tommy has actually only won the one race this season. Last week in Laguna Seca. But his consistency has seen him in the championship battle. He has not finished once off the podium in this race. Sorry. He has not finished once off the podium in this season, only getting in the top 3. One win and a number of 5 at the moment. 2nd and 3rd places, looking to make it 6. As Sam has made up a small gap on P3, but 8 tenths, it's still not enough. There's only a minute left of the race, so this might be the last lap. I might be forgetting rules. It might be the time running out plus 1 lap. I'm not entirely sure. Jack Mills probably not re-continuing this race after suffering the damage he did in his unfortunate incident. There's not too much I can see happening on the track. The gaps have opened up a tiny bit. This is probably the closest battle on the track at 7.5 tenths of a second. The time is very close to expiring. Although fewer hurt is only a second behind Prieto in the battle for last and second last in Pro Class, or P10 overall. As Iligna comes through the final corner. Is that the checkered flag? I'm pretty sure that's a checkered flag.
Either has finished the race.
Yep, Iligna has won the penultimate round of Season 7 as he looks to win back-to-back championships. Ben Luce in P2, only 2 seconds back. Tommy Azalin, P3, keeps the championship lead for now. But it's going to be very, very exciting next week. Sam Cholmondeley finishes P4. Jack Colley, a decent P5. for the British driver as he looks to keep P3 in the standings. Clearly doesn't want to do an in-lap as he just pulls off to the side. Never mind, he's doing donuts. Veldman in P6, we're not going to watch that because no one cares about it. Veldman in P6. Diakoski in P7. Diakoski in P7. Rosu comes across the line to finish P8. Tomlin will win Silver Class on what I believe is his debut. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a very commanding performance in Silver Class from the Audi driver, who is the only Silver Class driver to finish on the lead lap in this race. As some of the drivers already leaving the lobby, Prieto and Feuerhert are the two last finishers in P9 and P10 overall, as we see Ben destroying the BMW. Happy with a second place finish, it does seem. Him and Tommy possibly putting on a little show, as they so often do. As that is the end of the race. We can see the final classifications here on the left. But thank you for... Oh wait, I forgot to mention, Aidan Bailey with this result wins the Silver Class Championship. That is done and dusted due to Nils Kruger unfortunately missing this race. But that does make it, I feel I have to mention this, that does make it 3 VPL drivers that have now won the Silver Class. Ben Luce last season, Aidan Bailey this season. That was a very nice acrobatic display there by Ben. And me back in season either 6 or 7, I can't actually remember. Aidan in in potentially his last season for a while, as he may not race next season, that is yet to be seen, has won championship glory. And with that, I will end the stream. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm sorry if the stream wasn't as good as what you're used to, but it was very last minute, and you know, the stream was still provided, so I think that's all that matters. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and see you next week at Paul Ricard, where we will decide the championship between Dominic Iligna and Tommy Azelin. Tommy hasn't got enough of a gap to be safe. If Dominic gets P1, he will win the championship. So make sure to tune in next week to see how that unfolds. But for now, thank you for watching.